In this week's episode, I'll be reading my 1 and 2 star reviews because, well, it'll be fun. Welcome to the Writer's Journey podcast. I'm Michael Laron, a science fiction and fantasy author on a journey to go from nobody to bestseller, and I'm documenting every step of the way. Tune in every week as I pull back the curtain on my writing life and how I'm building a writing career while working a full-time job, raising a family, and attending law school classes in the evenings. You can find show notes for this week's episode, a free starter library of my fiction, and much more at michaellaron.com. Enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to episode 38. This week, I thought it would be fun to spend some time reading the very things that keep a lot of people down, 1-star reviews. I've never let reviews bother me much, though I'd be lying to you if I said they didn't affect me at all. Some hit home pretty hard, but you know what? That's part of being a writer. It just means that someone somewhere didn't like my book. Out of the several billion people that live on this planet, there's bound to be plenty of people who don't like what I write. And you know what? That's okay. There's bound to be plenty more who do. I view it as my job to get my books into the hands of people that will enjoy reading them. Sometimes it's not a good fit, and those people are totally within their rights to give a book a poor review. I've always believed that bad reviews actually help people find books because they might identify with something in the review that they don't like, thus moving on to another book. That in and of itself saves me another bad review. So on the flip side, there might be someone reading through my reviews and they'll see a bad review and then say, well, this reader's full of crap. This sounds like my kind of book. And so then they buy my book in support. So the reading and buying process is kind of funny like that. Some authors rely too much on reviews. They listen to everything readers say and they let it shape their artistic decisions about their work. That's a fatal mistake. Just because readers have opinions doesn't mean that I have to follow them, just like they don't have to read every single book that someone recommends them. If you ever talk to me in private, you'll notice that I'm quite stubborn when it comes to my creative ideas. I don't compromise. That's a disservice to the true fans who do like my work. Some authors say you shouldn't acknowledge reviews at all. Generally, I believe that. That's why I won't be sharing the names of any of my reviewers in this episode. But I also believe that you simply can't ignore what people are saying about your work. I liken it to a manufacturer of a product. If you make tea kettles, you would want to know what customers are saying about your tea kettle, right? Maybe they love it. Maybe they hate it. That doesn't matter. What matters is the spirit of what they're saying, what resonates with them. Maybe they bought it because your marketing connected with them and they speak to that in their review. Or maybe they don't buy it because it reminds them too much of another product that they bought and hated. I believe that there are clues that can help you with the next product in terms of how you position it in the marketplace. I'm a big believer in knowing where I stand with people and in the marketplace. If people aren't buying my books, that's fine, but I want to know why. Not to act on it, but to understand where I stand. That helps keep my expectations realistic. Anyway, that's my bit on reviews. Let's get to the fun stuff. The main character is whiny, weak, pathetic. I didn't like this story. It was a weak character. It was well written, but I could not wait to get to the end and find something else to read. The story was disjointed and the characters felt flat. The first 1/3 of the book was the main character following two other characters around without really knowing who they were, where they were going, or why. I almost quit several times, and by the ending I wish I had. If you want to read about the trials of a man who actually conned himself into thinking a ritual with a powerful object would get his dead wife back and finds himself on the road to a literal hell, this is a book for you. Dante did it far better. I really disliked the ending. You could see it coming from halfway through the book. I understand this was a first in the series, but more closure would have been nice. I wanted to like this, but I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Finally, just stopped reading. Too bad I have all 3 books. In a real futuristic tale, one is cleverly convinced that characters could possibly exist. I wasn't. The first 6 chapters were great. Really creative and held my interest. After that, not so much. Perhaps it gets better later on, but by chapter 9 I lost interest. The grafting of modern tech into a world with dragons and elves was a bit much. I think the author got lazy or ran out of creativity. Laptops and smartphones are not necessarily developments of a tech society. galaxy guard pulls over a private starship as if it were a traffic stop by a police officer. The petty officers ask for driver's licenses and registration. No plates on a starship as it's a new purchase. Hyperdrive is fueled by gasoline. Childish and childlike as being kind. Bailed at the end of chapter 4, 16% in. I mean, it's like nothing in space is actually real. Why would you hang emergency spacesuits right next to your regular spacesuits? What kind of spaceship fuel would be containerized and kept in berthing spaces? Why couldn't the spacer simply pull himself up? Gravity in space? If you know nothing about space or the Coast Guard, you may be able to tolerate the almost comically bad plot. I could not. Normally, burning books is bad. If I had gotten this as a paperback, I would have made an exception. Even a used bookstore shouldn't stock this. I got this as part of Kindle Unlimited and was unable to get past the first chapter or two. It was as if someone had written a book about the Coast Guard and then dared them to change it to science fiction by changing oceans to galaxies. Starts off doing an inspection and checking if the life preservers were there, and it was noted that the engine on the galactic vessel had its oil topped off, and that's where he lost me. Maybe the beginning was a dream sequence and it gets better, but I have my doubts. I was so excited to read this book after skimming through the sample, and then so disappointed. I'll stop there. I didn't edit any of these, so as you heard, some of them were pretty harsh, even though I tried to read them a little bit more enthusiastically. And I'll admit they stung a little when I read them for the first time. But what gives me some encouragement is that this is only 12 reviews out of many, many more reviews that I have total. In fact, most of my reviews are overwhelmingly positive. So sure, this was 12 people. They didn't like the book. So what? Am I going to base my career on the opinions of 12 people? No, not by a long shot. What encourages me about these reviews are that people are not going to buy my books as a result of reading them. Most of these reviews are simply honest opinions, but a few of them venture into troll territory. What these few reviewers don't realize is that they're actually helping validate my book. It would be odd to say that I'm grateful for trolls, because I'm not, but I do find it pretty ironic that they put so much time and energy into negative reviews that do nothing but help the person they're intended to hurt. Like I said, someone else is going to read those reviews and not buy my book, therefore it's going to actually help me, because then I'm going to get fewer bad reviews. It's just funny how that works. So anyway, I read these reviews to show you all that everyone gets 1-star reviews, and I don't sweat them too much. You could go to a Stephen King book or a Noah Roberts book or any other author's book page and see substantially the same sentiment in their 1- and 2-star sections. If you're a writer, that should give you some courage. Thanks for joining me this week. If you like this episode, you'll enjoy my backlist episodes at michaellaron.com/podcast. For your free starter library of my favorite novels, join my fan club by visiting michaellaron.com/fanclub. If you're a writer and you want to connect with me further, check out my YouTube channel, Author Level Up, for helpful writing advice at authorlevelup.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week.